I've come to St Lawrence Church in Whitwell to learn more about a rather unusual find which the church made recently. During a routine clear out, 2 swords were found leaning up in a cupboard. Members of the parochial church council sought the expertise of 2 local blacksmiths to find out more about them. After inspecting the swords, it was concluded that they were most likely English Civil War era and were probably from a battle which occurred on the Whitwell Common around 400 years ago. Now, one of those blacksmiths is here to tell me more about the swords. Luke, thank you so much for joining us. You're going to know more about these than I am. It's not a straightforward day when these come across to you, is it?
No, of course not. I mean, even in my line of business, these are 2 of the only originals that I've ever come across outside of museums. And they're in incredibly good condition, considering how they were found and where they were found. You just investigate, you study them, you look at them, the pieces themselves. The sword on the right was actually found just above the tomb here of Roger Manners. And that's where we really started with it. On closer inspection, we found that about 8 inches down on the side of the blade, there's a little engraving, a little inscription, which, having done a little bit of rubbing on it, taken an impression, turned out to be a running wolf, which is a well-known maker's mark of the Solingen sort of period, or region, in Germany. So the Solingen sword makers came over from Germany in the early 1600s to set up in England, fleeing from the 30 Years' War in Germany, big religious war. Set up in Hounslow, and that really helped us to kind of date this sword here, or give us an idea of approximately when it was from, or could be from. So we know roughly this one was around the 1620s, if this is one of the Hounslow swords, of course, but it's no great leap of the imagination to expect that Hounslow down in London, these swords being produced with these makers' marks in the same sort of time period. This one ending up here, is absolutely every possibility it could have been one of those Solingen swords. The sword on the left is even more remarkable. This was found when they were widening the main road just above Whitwell. It was actually found buried in a ditch. So when they started digging, it was discovered there. So the fact that they're in near equal states of preservation is just absolutely incredible. There is a lot more damage to the sword on the left, but it's still in remarkably good condition. We've no way of mapping every little inch of every little part of this island, so constantly things like this are being found. Never quite this impressive to me, and the fact that we've got 2 swords here found within a mile of each other that you can relatively reasonably date to within sort of 30 years of each other is quite incredible.
And for you personally, I wonder if you've become the sort of local celebrity of the village in terms of the go-to man to find out about this stuff.
Certainly for the people who want to find out about the swords, people ask me. I'm a bit of a usurper. I'm from London originally, so I'm not really a village person. But yeah, there's certainly, it's research. It's not necessarily my expertise, but like I say, there's so many clues and signs on these that give you such clear detail of areas they could be from, who could have made them, that all the information's there. It's just about knowing where to find it. It was a strange moment handing them back, but they're not mine. You know, I was looking after them for a couple of weeks so I could do some research, but they belong to Whitwell and they're in the best place for them.
And they're in this church that can be seen by members of the public and members of the congregation as well.
This church has stood long before these swords existed. It'll stand long time from now anyway. So they're here for anyone to come and look upon and see them for what they are whenever they want.
And for you personally, and the church as well, it's nice to be a part of history as well.
Absolutely, yeah. It's fantastic to help out a little bit, to be able to give a little bit more of a story to them. They've already got such a story within the church from when they were discovered, that to try and look at their origins in particular is really interesting.